Hopefully we're back now. Hopefully we can see our happiness come to. All right. Cool. Should be up here and running. There we go. Sorry about that, people. Seems like I got dumped. Not the first time. I'm hearing myself somewhere else. I'm gonna mute something. There we go. Perfect. All right, we're back. So anyways, right. So here's kind of listing like where everybody and everything's gonna be at. There's some things that I've taken out of here in terms of like inspiration and stuff like that. I don't know what the rules are for showing stuff that I've shown other people and whatnot, what the client owns and so far and so forth. So we're just gonna kind of keep this to this particular deck. So when I send them these, like my photo treatment, I kind of put like a little bit about like what my goals are when I'm doing these actual shoots. So here you have still imagery objective. All hero static imagery will be captured in composite format on a tripod to maximize the dynamic range of light featuring the vehicle and its environment. We will utilize the post-production process to create compelling imagery, highlighting the vehicle's accents the way the designer intended. So basically with this, what I'm trying to say is that we're going to be out there with multiple cameras on the location. I'm going to shoot the background separate from the vehicle because a lot of times, I'm going to go to bridge now. Let's see here. A lot of times with a particular location like this, if you look, say I've got this picture right here, right? So we've got this entire really awesome location, and I can't possibly squeeze this really cool background into a 70 or 90 millimeter lens, which is what this vehicle is going to look best at. So what I'll have to do is shoot the background separate. Not only that, but the time we're going to take, this thing's not being Oh, great, 6 live. That's fantastic. Man, Hance being a pain in the butt right now. Trying to ignore my, hold on here. And my mouse doesn't want to work. Hold on here. I'm just trying to get organized. Sorry about that. Appreciate the patience. Okay, let's try and... I think they probably tried to feature it and then got canned. Is what I'm thinking happened here. Sorry, Christina. So there's so much dust. Sorry if I just blew your ear out, your ear out. Sorry, guys. There's so much dust in my mouse. Oh, you know what? That's what cans of air are for. Hold on, I'm going to mute this. I mean, that kind of worked. Let's see. Yay. Okay. So, back to these shoots here, these shots. So I think I take as many shots as I can when I'm scouting and on tech day, because here's the thing with the shot, like, let's go back to my hero shot here. So, well, let's go through before I do that. I'll just kind of explain. So when I'm doing these shots, for me, it is a big deal to go through and shoot as many backplates as I can, because sometimes you're on the actual shoot, and next thing you know, the weather's turned to complete absolute and next thing you know, you're using your backups to basically save your butt because the shoot went to complete crap. So better to have than to not have, I always say. And then also when I'm on location, I'm constantly using Sunseeker app to get the time of day of where I'm at constantly, no matter where we are. And another cool thing about this is that when we're shooting these shots, and I want to get the sun right to figure out where I'm going to shoot what at what time in conjunction to the shoot. Now, another thing is, let's see here, you have some questions. I'm feeling good. Yes, the kid comes. I'm going to be a dad part 2 next week. I think it is. Yes. Holy shit. Yeah. So I think you're in the right stream, Christina. But the other cool thing about this is that I'm going to go to Lightroom now. Is that every time I take a photo, not the screenshots, but when I take photos like this, like if I go to develop, no, library, yeah, develop. When I take a photo like this, not the screenshot, but I know I'm at this location, and say I'm looking here and I'm like, man, where was that? I can click on here and it takes me right to exactly where my shot was. It was right there. So then I know, all right, when I go to Google Earth, I'm shooting right there. And I can be like, all right, well, where's the sun in relationship to there? Not in this particular area. So I can go up here, change my time. This isn't, I use like the right. All right, so where's it going to be in this kind of towards the sunrise, right? Sunrise, if I'm looking this way, sunrise is going to be over here. Rise in the east, sets in the west. And then I go, all right, well, what's it going to look? Where's it going to set in the PM? Click OK, and then we'll turn around here. That's upper on the other side. I can go back to my vineyards. Figure out, all right, that's going to set behind me when I'm here. So all the shots that I do take over at this location, I'm going to want to be this way, facing this way towards the end of the day, and then facing this way, facing which would be northeast, east in the morning. So facing this way in the morning, this way in the evening. The sun's basically going to, it looks like it arches up over this way on the backside. So then I know where the sun's going to be in that direction. So that helps me kind of plan out what I'm going to shoot, what, where, at what time of day. And then if I go back to Lightroom here, and I go back to my Sunseeker shots, I can then see, all right, exactly where the sun's going to be. So for this particular shoot, I use the Canon R5. I have, for that one, I have the list is on Twitch. I unfortunately don't have an area where I can put all this information. But I shot this on the Canon R5 with the 28 to 70, 70 to 200, and then I have a few primes that I use for it. Everything that's shot is done. So that's the main camera I have on sticks. Now, there was also a model aspect of the shoot, and that was done, again, with the same camera, same lenses. I have 2 of those, and then I have a third camera that I use to shoot the background plates that were then shot to kind of put all these pretty scenes together that would normally not have been done in that respect, like this particular location, right? Never going to get that. I think this was like four images stitched together. So let's get back to the presentation. So the photographic process. The project allows 2 full days to accomplish our objective. Often the challenge is capturing the greatest landscapes with the perfect sky, and the sun moves throughout the day. We'll be utilizing 2 to 3 cameras to photograph multiple plates of both the sky and the landscape backgrounds in order to deliver an epic final product. Now, everybody thinks, oh, these images are fake. No. The difference is all the shots are done together. The lens doesn't allow me to utilize the best background with the best foreground. So I have to shoot everything separately and then put it together later. It still holds true to where the vehicle's at and what the vehicle's doing. It's just a matter of delivering the best final product based on where everything was shot. It's all still true. The car is still there. It's still doing what it's doing. And I really spend a lot of time kind of, it's the same thing. I feel like makeup is a bad example, and plastic surgery is a bad example. Like it's still the same person. It's just you've added all that stuff to basically deliver the best product, which is what the client wants. So it's kind of hard to. It's all subjective, I guess, right? At the end of the day. So yeah, just to give you that type of idea. So additional deliverables. We will be traveling through Oregon. We'll be shooting with multiple cameras, which will allow us to capture the vehicle in a handheld editorial style without the restriction of a tripod. We look for delivering 12 impromptu raw images for you to use in addition to the final deliverables. So along with shooting stuff on sticks, I'm shooting stuff handheld to be able to deliver these products. So this gives them the idea of where we're shooting launch. And then we're shooting at this particular vineyard here, which you saw. So then this gets me to, all right, the schedule for day one. We're shooting at the vineyards. We're leaving the hotel at 4:45 a.m. Breakfast is served on site at 7:30. Here's the lunch. Everything's going to be grab and go. We still have to deal with COVID restrictions, so there's testing involved. I believe we did that the day before we had left, because that left us within the 3-day window of 3-day window of needing to be tested again. And I believe we stuck to all the guidelines. Yeah, so Christina, yes, the camera can be shot at all different types of shutter speeds, whether I'm on sticks or handheld. So this gives you the sunrise and sunset times. Then we have what shots are being shot at what time. I list them out here. And then I'm also shooting lifestyle stuff in between. So again, that's another reason for the. Now, another thing to notice is that this was adjusted probably 5 times, including the day before when there was when the director wanted to change his shot, which means I had to shoot this location on day 2 or day 1 instead of day 2. Yes, I'm trying to remember where I ended, and I ended up on Mount Hood Rat. So this gives you the map from the hotel to the location, and then this is literally what the client gets. So I have the Google Earth location, I have the scout photo that I took, and then what I've done is I've mocked up the vehicle angle into the actual location to give them an idea of like what this is going to look at. Now, granted, the time isn't exactly the same, but if you look at the shot in relationship to what was delivered to client, which is this one, totally gives you an idea, totally gives them an idea. Now, the client isn't on location with me. In the past, before COVID, they were. This time, I just try to get them as good of an idea of what they're going to get before I actually shoot it. So that way, everything is set up, I like to do the least amount of thinking on shoot day, so that way I can just show up and be like, all right, here's what we're doing. The entire shoot schedule is laid out. When we get to this time, we're doing this. If we're getting behind, we do this. My first is really just in charge of lighting, and everybody else is just really there to support. And everybody has a schedule, so everybody knows what they're doing, and we just stick to the schedule. And the whole idea of that is that basically there's certain things that might happen where you're on the actual shoot and the location that you might see that you can't possibly think of before you actually get there. So this proves to be a huge advantage to not only allow me time to then have fun with something I might want to fly through because I've already gotten it, to be able to capture something that I might not otherwise think of unless I'm actually at the location. So that's the first shot. There's the second shot. And let's see if I don't think, the client didn't end up using this particular photo, or it was submitted, but they didn't actually end up using it. So that happens too, believe it or not. This was one of the first shoots it ever has, but that particular stuff does happen. So again, you got the scout photo. I don't know if I can do. No, I don't want Editing off. Turn the editing off. Turn it off. Close. There we go. So you have the location scout photo that I did from Google Earth. Yes, I do all kinds of shoots actually. I've done crap. I've done tennis. I do a lot of sports stuff related. Everything from Special Olympics to tennis to what did I? I did. What did you shoot for it? Canada Goose. I did electrolyte drinks. Their product photography. It all just kind of changes. Smirnoff vodka. Just there's stuff that I put up there that doesn't that I get hired for that kind of is off brand and it really ends up being specialty stuff. I'll do like these what I call like personal spotlights where I like feature somebody, where I do motion and stills and kind of tell a little story about them and what they do in their background. Done everything from powerlifting athletes to hairdressers to, I'm not really an event guy. I get put up to bid on the what is it? Alfa Romeo at the Pebble Beach. Hey, thanks for the follow, guys. The guy from Pebble Beach. What is it? Pebble Beach, Alfa Romeo, and somebody else always gets it every single year. So I'm not really an event person. Although I did cover the Mubadala women's tennis tournament, Silicon Valley Classic. I did that. It's just sometimes stuff comes up that's totally different from what I'm used to. So here we got our front detail. Again, location, time of day. And sometimes I'll throw in the option of, like this particular shoot, I threw in the grill and the wheel option in case on both days. That way, in case I wanted to squeeze that in there, or it would look better. Although on the day of, they actually did end up killing the wheel detail shot. Just to give you that idea. Although, it's interesting. None of the... In this shot, in the next video, I'll actually go over in detail as to how... So this is one of those shots where it looks like I'm shooting everything in a wide angle. This is actually shot, I think, at like a 50, really tight. And everything you see around this particular... Everything from the sky... So the sky was shot in Zadar, Croatia. The mountains were shot at the location. This was shot super wide, I think with 3 different panels, then stitched together and then dropped in. And the backgrounds, I believe, from different shots as well. So just to give you an idea. What else do we got here? So this shot was done at the mountaintop. And this was done even higher at noon, and the sun actually didn't end up coming around. I do believe, this is the full shot that ended up being used. But I'll continue to go through the deck here just so you can see what the client sees. So we got all our wheel detail shots. Angle of the camera will be lower, like inspiration samples. This will feature the landscape or vehicle. This is our action shot. And the action shot I wanted to be done as a virtual rig. So that way, and again, I wanted the sun to be later in the day, which we ended up doing. And then you have your screenshot of Google Earth. So most of all these photos are either rejected or approved before I actually shoot them, since the client I didn't actually have the ability to be on location when I was shooting this. So this is also day 2. Again, so the way we did, so I don't know why I had the directions from this is the hotel. So you go through the windy thing, and then literally we're driving, again, in the dark, before sunrise, all the way up this hill to get to this spot to shoot morning shots. Then at noon, just after lunch, we then go to the upper location. Now, again, to show you guys what this looks like. So if I go to upper base camp up here. This takes me all the way up the mountain so I can see exactly where, nope. Oh, here it is. Upper launch point. So this is where we shot the tree shot. So basically, there wasn't any location where I can get deep into the trees, but there was this one area up here where I can then basically we backed the vehicle. I think we just had 2 vehicles. We backed the vehicle down this particular tree area here, and literally there was a little flat spot at the end, and that's where we shot that particular shot. I believe I probably have that here in the location scout. Let's see if I can find it. It was the other side of the mountain. It's the very top of the mountain. I believe we backed it down. I'm trying to figure out where the hell. I'm gonna bring this up here. You can see what in the Sam hell I'm looking at. Here it is. Really tough to see where we're at, but it's kind of tight. I did my little Sunseeker. Kind of told me the sun was going to be better later in the day, but we couldn't get it that far. It ended up being earlier in our shot. But it did give me an idea of where that was going to end up being, which is based on what we ended up, or based on what we planned for. Let's see if there's anything else here. No. So I'm just gonna take a quick second here, guys. A breather. Nobody's really talking about their day. What if everybody's having a horrible day and I don't know? I'm just sitting here talking. Blah 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 blah. Sure, that probably wasn't warranted. Anywho, just snag up some medication here. All right, we are back. All right, so this is how to get to that location. This is the sunrise shot. Now, at the particular shoot that we were doing, the light was complete crap. So luckily, because I had these scout photos, location photos from my scout. Let's see if I go to my scout shots here. I believe I should have them. Here are the raw scout images that were taken, just to give you an idea of what I'm going to do here. So this is the one location. The full background, backplate. That was facing I believe the sunset direction, and then this was the sunrise direction. We went all the way to the top of the mountain. Visited tons of crazy places. And these places would have been cool, but they're just too far out of the way to be able to get to. I always drag getting my pieces together. I loved this particular spot, but it would have been, I think, another 2-hour drive from the top of the mountain in order to get there. Oh, so this was the tree shot. This is where I liked the time of the day, but it was later in the day. I ended up shooting it earlier where the sun was on the left side. So it didn't quite end up matching to what the client wanted. But when I shot at the top here, I believe we went back. I wanted to see this particular place in the morning, which I got to go see. And these end up being the shots that I used, the actual image. I'm going to go back to the actual photo here. This, if you can see all the clouds here. So this sunrise is from the actual location. But this area here was all muddy. It didn't have hot lights on it. So, And another challenge with this particular vehicle, let me tell you, when you take a vehicle that has this particular gray finish, now it's the trend right now is to basically take all the metallic flake out of a paint color, paint to that color, and then put the gloss on over it. So if there's no hard light on the actual vehicle, it's flat, it's dead, you can't see it. So one of the challenges with shooting this particular vehicle is that if you don't have direct hard light on it, or treating it like a piece of glass, it didn't look right at all. So this particular, location scout ended up saving my butt because we didn't get this particular location with the sun on it. So all these pieces were put together, and I'll go over that on the next one. We have time. Yeah, so huge lifesaver with being able to shoot this stuff. This is the upper mountain. I think I actually believe I used some of that stuff as well. This is a bridge shot that I really liked that didn't end up getting used. It wasn't that the client didn't want to use it. The agency just didn't end up using it in their creative package. Just didn't feel the need to. So, and that happens. Stuff gets cut all the time. It's nothing personal. So there we go. So I've shown my location scout photo from Google Earth. We got my scout photo that I took when I was there, and then I just grab a vehicle off the internet and just photoshopped it in there to get them to approve that particular angle. Now we've got our tree shot, which the light ended up changing the direction on, but same thing. Kind of mocked up that shot so the client would get an idea of what that was going to look like. Now in the future, since I've gotten into CGI, what I'm going to be able to do is basically grab all these shots when I shoot the backgrounds, and I'll actually shoot HDRI domes and the back plates, and then actually drop the vehicle in CG just to be able to get the client to approve that way. Here's another shot that didn't end up getting used. There was our sunset shot. Again, didn't really get nice light on that and had to use this particular photo for the actual image. Same thing with this particular shot. Ended up using, because it was such flat light, ended up using the rocks in foreground of the shot for the actual final image. So that's that. There was something else I was going to go over. Does anybody have any questions? I think I'm going to do a quick here and hit the restroom. You guys can think about questions, really hardcore questions. Be right back. All right, we're back to the party, guys. So just to kind of wait for some files to copy over. So just to kind of reiterate the entire process, I'll start with Google Earth. It gives you a really good idea what the place is going to look like, what to expect. I can block out the majority of my shots before actually having been there. I can set up the time of day. This thing is not very happy with me. Change this to 1 p.m. No. It'll let you pick any day, and it'll let you pick days into the future, which is also fantastic. So I can plan out where I'm going to be, where the other people are going to be, in relationship to the particular location that I'm at. It's just a really great resource. Like if I wanted to go here to this particular spot, like it gives me some of the street view here, which is kind of neat. So say I wanted to shoot here, right? Helps me figure out where the sun's going to be, what the background's going to look like. And then what I can do is, just to give you an idea, I can add a drop pin here. I can move it. I can name it street shot. It'll note the time of day. Street shot, Oregon. Okay. And then I can create another shot here, right? So we want to go, say I want to shoot this particular area too. We'll change the time of day here. Right, I want to shoot at this time of day. This particular angle on the road here. I can do a drop pin, put it literally where I want to be shooting at. Call that street shot 2. Oregon. Okay. And I can go back and forth between the two. It moves the sun back to where I was originally. So this is also a great resource for like, hey, you want to walk a client through how you're going to do the photo shoot. All right, there's shot 1 we're going to do. Then once we're done with shot 1, we'll move over as the sun gets later in the day, and we'll do shot 2. Boom, done. Already sold on the idea. What do you want to do next? It's pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome tool. And being a control freak, if I can't go on the location scout, and then it gives me the location scout exactly where I want them to look and exactly where I want them to take pictures. And then I can get exactly what I'm looking for. And ultimately, with photo shoots, because there's so many elements that you cannot control, you want to be able to control all the elements that you can. And if you can do that before the actual shoot, day of, everything else is plug and play. Plug and play. So, let's see if those layered files have come up here. All right, here we go. So this is one of the hoping this will work. It says it's uploaded. It's a massive file, so you have to give me a moment here. So, do we have any questions about Google Earth? Yeah, so usually I'll start working before the shoot's even done. A lot of times what happens is I'll start going through and I'll start making selects, literally either that night of the shoot. Sometimes I got to do that. So just to give you an idea of like how long these days are, I mean, you're looking at like 18, 19-hour days. You figure you get up at 3:30 to then be ready to shoot at the location by like 4:30. That means you got to get all your vehicles loaded in, your camera set up, your first shot ready to go before the sun's even showing any light. So you can start shooting backplates when it's nice and pretty. So you're 3:30, and then literally you're not done until after sunset, which during summer or pre-summer can be sometimes like 6:30, 7:30, and then you got to come back and kind of go through selects that you want to send to the client or whoever to kind of let them know what they've received so far or what to expect, and then you're kind of making sure you got everything ready for the next day. So it's can be extremely action packed. Let's see here. Here's this shot. I'm hoping I have all of the pieces here. No, I don't. Let's see here. I'm glad I went on my way to get something for you guys. Let's see here. It's 1.1, 1.2. Oh, this is more like it. This one's 7.62 gigabytes closed. So that'll be like 13 gigabytes opened. But let me see what was dropped in here. So this was just a little out of focus flowers to just give this thing some love that was added onto. I think another one that I have open here. So with these particular ones, because I look at them for so long, what I'll do is I'll actually go back when I'm this is the client wanted this layered, so that's kind of what this is going on here, to be able to extend the side. So that shows you what of the particular location shot was used to save that particular photo. How long do we have on this? Less than a minute. It's amazing. So I'm literally transferring 7 to 8 gigabytes of information over the cloud between machines in literally minutes, which is fantastic. So those of you who are curious about using fiber, so I have, what do I have? AT&T fiber connection, which is 1,000 megabyte upload and download per second. And then I'm using Dropbox to work from. And then you have the option of, keeping it locally or keeping it online. Smart Sync, local. And that kind of allows me to utilize, oh my God. So this 7 gigabyte file that we literally were just talking about, not ready yet. Well, kind of blew the pooch on that one. Thought it was going to be so easy. You look amazing. My daughter's a little princess today. So with this particular shot, I'll go back to here. It was there. There we go. If I can find the particular background image that was done. Scout Raw. Scout Selects. So there, I believe. Yeah. Nope. So that was from the Location Scout, or the Tech Scout the day before. It's a completely different vehicle. So here's kind of the just give you an idea of like how I got these layered in here. Let's see. We can pull up some of the stuff that I put together. It's another thing you don't want to do during the middle of a pandemic is have your TV just shut up. Yeah, of course. That happened to me. So this is V3. Now they're loading up here. Just going to give you an idea of like how I've put this together for the client so that way they can see what we're looking at. So I flipped the car at the last second. This is the this is what was shot at the location, and then I photoshopped in the get your God rays in there. Just so you guys know, I did all these shots, layered them, put them together, composite them, got them as finals I wanted them to go, and then sent them off to my buddy Vikas Sharma to do all the color grading, because that's what I love, is to have somebody else do the color. And for me, that kind of allows me to then focus on the big picture and then have somebody else put fresh eyes on applying the color and the look and overall feel. And that's something we'll decide together, and then he'll then apply to the images. Some of these shots, I believe the tree shot I gave to him from scratch. It was such a nightmare for me because it was windy, so none of my bracketed plates were lined up. It was windy, the light was in the wrong direction, and everything I hated about it was totally there. Fantastic. Looking forward to it. So first thing I did was mask out the background and put my own in there. So the background to me was a little bit too non-existent. So I just kind of dropped in a lower angle of it. And then go back to the open original. And this is what I ended up showing them. So this is kind of what I was able to get signed off. And that's, you know, about as close as I think you're going to get to final without actually having shot the final, which was this first shot here. So this is this was that shot. This one's a bit of a nightmare. Super windy. Tried everything we could do to get this glow. A bit of a nightmare. Never actually worked out, but we're able to handle that in Photoshop later, because there's a fine line between like, ooh, this is really cloudy and smoky and dusty, to hey, where'd the vehicle go? You can't really tell the shape. That was a bit of a struggle. This thing was a bit of a masterpiece to be able to get to look decent in post. So in order for me to focus on the other shots, I had sent this particular one out to be done. Okay. I can still say that in minutes. Here comes the 7.62 gigabytes closed. What do you mean I hate nonsense? I love nonsense. It's all about the BS in this room. All right. This file is it's not showing me how big it is. It's weird. Yeah, that's the main one. So close that. This one. This has a little bit of the love over it, so I might bring that. See how that was applied at the very end. And also the difference between this shot and, say, the final here. You can see how the color grading really affects the final look and feel of the actual image itself. So we had the hero badges put on here because we didn't have those for the actual shoot. But just to give you an idea of the original here, let's see if I can even find the original. So that's the shot as it was originally shot. I'm going to strip this down here. I want to save, make sure I have access to the open shot here. I'm just going to strip this down very slowly. Put this back in there. This thing is so sensitive, it's driving me actually ballistic. Nobody wanted this. Just go back in here. Everything, go back in. Beautiful. I'm trying to move the entire panel over. Won't let me. Go over here. I watched this guy stream today. He just in a fight with his tools the whole time. I'm going to delete hidden layer so there's no issues here. Yes. All right. We have our adjustments. I'm going to make this so you guys can see it. All right, it's pretty full screen for you. My hand tool. Just use a space bar. Okay. There are the adjustments on and off. Not a whole hell of a lot happening there. And we have our foreground flowers. You can see the foreground grass. That's just the stuff that was out of focus in front. These are all to create depth and layers to be able to then push your eye right into the object, which is the main focus. Turn off some of those curves to get the grass car right. Some of the stuff that was added in here. Grass car right. So the initial shadow that was there, I thought was a bit heavy. That's why I'd kind of come in and gone over that. So all this was brought in from different shots. Grass left foreground, gone. Grass left. Leave the vehicle on. Grass glow, which is the row of glow in the background, which kind of gives you that, what I would call like environment fog, just to create depth in your image. And it allows the vehicle to then kind of pop off a little bit. Grass right, entire field there. Background left. You can see our sunset from Croatia in there. By the way, if you're ever looking to write off your wedding, take background photos that you end up using later in projects. Background right, more ocean, curves, sky is gone, and then background gray. Now, this will actually dig into this vehicle file here. There's a lot even going on in this flat image here. We've got, we'll turn this mask off, and this one. And this is the gist of your original photo. There's the adjustments that were thrown on top. Now this was one of the casual walk around photos that I had done, where this was part of the bonus package that I had given them, where I was basically just kind of going in and giving them the option of having, let me turn all this off. It was just to kind of bring the headlight down because it was on. What else we got here? Darker fenders, lighter vehicle. So you can see which files these were. And I believe they're all the same image. Just what I had done is, because I didn't bracket this one like I would normally if I were shooting something on sticks. This is all handheld. So what I had done is I had then processed out different images at different exposures and used those as the parts that I would then brush in. Because as you see, you've got all of the entire production in here. I've got my favorite sheet metal dropped in there. And then you open up some of the shadow areas here. forget what this was for. Oh, this is the grill or the fender. Lighten that, darken that up. Oh, so this was an actual. So this was taken. If I click, if I shift click that, let's see. I actually took an image of the headlights being on from a different shot and dropped it in there. We have that cleaned up because if you notice when you shoot, again, I've talked about this before, headlights. In reference to driving the client vehicles, no. So on a shoot, there's an actual team of people that handle just the vehicle. They're known as car prep. So I believe on this one we had 2 or 3 guys. So they transport, these vehicles come with Hero plates on them. So they can't be driven on the actual road because they don't have, they're not actually licensed registered vehicles. And half the time these are just prototypes that they've built just for the actual shoots. So you don't actually have a chance to do anything with those, with the actual vehicles. Sometimes I get to drive the vehicles, sometimes I don't. With the Porsche shoot, again, the opportunity just never arose. I'm gonna go back to the original opened file here, so you can actually see the difference. I'll zoom out here. So that's what was shot. And this was the final deliverable. And the whole point for me to shoot these background plates like this then gives me this beautiful dynamic range that I can display that I wouldn't have been able to do if I just shot just the vehicle, because the lensing itself doesn't allow me to capture that much landscape in one particular shot. I have driven the cars before on some of the shoots. The coolest car I've ever driven, probably the McLaren. I liked the Supra. That was pretty awesome. I just drove a Land Rover Defender, the 2-door one. I think it's like $160,000 vehicle. It was like, we did 4-wheel driving. It was literally like, it was so soft. And I had a Jeep to compare it to. Just the ride was just completely different. Let's see what else I can throw up in here. It's funny, it's so slow with all these pieces in here. So a lot goes into building these shots. I would love to eventually do one day with you guys. Trying to see if I can find. Let's see, grill, record panel, profile, pan action. I have one more. I'm going to try and go over here. Give me 1 second. This one might be a while. It's 13.4 gigabytes. Closed. It is massive. Any other questions, party people? I feel like I go over the same things. I'm gonna close this. Make the stuff faster. a bridge here. I wonder if I can see. So a lot of these flowers I gotten. It's funny, I got nixed on the flowers. I'm always trying to shove flowers in there, and it just didn't want to happen. This is kind of trying to figure out. So this would be 6. Yeah. Here's another one. So this is kind of another one of the ones I had sent out to the client. There's another one of these comps. So you can see how it was built out. Delete hidden layers. So save us all some. So let's see what some of the original stuff was. All right, so we got the ground left there. There's the ground right. Some of the foreground rocks. And I believe, yeah, that's some of the other out of focus foreground objects. There's the vehicle that was cut out from another shot that they've done, shoot that they've done. Again, just trying to slightly match some of the lights and the colorings and where everything's going to be composition-wise. Yeah, so that's that one. All right, next up, this is 13. Back to Lightroom here. I'm trying to see if so I probably go over some of my labeling systems. So when I've gone through and shot something, the first thing I usually do is start with the flag to kind of narrow things down. So I don't know my flags here. That off. Just want flagged images. We'll start with that, and then once I've flagged, I'll then go down to my labeling things by color. And then if I want to get even more in depth than that, then I'll go and start rating by star with Lightroom. So Christina has some questions here. Do you ever get a gig at the spare of the moment having to rush out? Yes. So interesting that you mentioned that. Let me see if I can find, there's another, I had done, I gotta go to a folder here. Presentations. There's a shoot. Let's see if this is the right deck. Yeah. I have had something come up and had to shoot it in 4 days, or the next day. It happens. I don't know why this won't open here. Open with. There we go. Yeah, so last second, I usually try to resort to stuff that I've done before. Um, I think because I have so much stuff copying over, things are kind of like, hey, back off, dude. Let's see here. So here we have the shoot that was done for the. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the website here. This was done for the. I don't even think I have it in here anymore. Let's see if I go to lifestyle for the Forerunner. Wow, that got canned quickly. If I pick on a Forerunner. Guess I nixed it. Well, there's a shoot that I did at the same location of the Land Cruiser. So again, a shoot like this, it's done. Something like this is extremely elaborate and craziness, and you're in crazy off-road locations. Just to give you an idea. So what I'll do is I actually plan. So here's the route, right? We're on the 138. I got a shoot recently for Car and Driver to shoot a Jeep and a Land Rover Defender, and had to do it in 4 days. So there's no way to pull permits and all that stuff. It's kind of editorial got to do with what you got at the time that you got it, right? So we're basically end up here at Cleghorn, right off the 138, and there's this dirt road that goes up. And what I did is I did a scout for this particular shoot for the Forerunner one, and basically mapped out the entire route. Got one loop or one long 4x4 trek, and then I have another loop that goes through forest. So this is the only way to be able to get forest and true off-road rock crawling to be able to display the performance of said vehicle. It was a challenging shoot to say the least. But basically, I kind of break these things up into days, right? Like what we could do on which day. I believe this one was like a 3-day shoot, and I broke it up into Wednesday, what we'd be able to accomplish in the morning, and basically, when you're in I think there were like 7 or 8 vehicle fleets, so we only have so much so far that we can accomplish in one day. And I would map out the path along the track, and then what our options were along the way of being able to do that. So like this area right here, this particular location overlooking the lake there, ends up being this location here. You can kind of tell this is fudged slightly, but you see the little blurring in there. So this background was shot separately from this one, but they are technically together. It just wasn't wide enough, so I extended the image over to be able to add all this in here. And that's that spot. That's literally, I'm suspended over the ledge on a rope from another vehicle to be able to shoot that particular shot. That's what I kind of do. I end up planning out the entire day based on the locations that I have access to. And then like this is another one where I'm able to then present like, all right, here are the options of what we might end up doing for these particular shots, or what we could accomplish with those shots at these particular locations with the time that we have. And I utilize the shot list that they give me to be able to map that out. Do you ever pay for travel, or is that included? All of that, all expenses are covered in the shoot and the production costs. So you estimate for everything you're going to do beforehand. I wonder if this, oh my God, this massive file might actually be here. I'm going to make this local. I mean, it's crazy, guys. Literally in minutes, we've taken 13 gigabytes and literally 13? 13.49 gigabytes, transferred it through the cloud, and it's literally about to be available to open here in just a matter of a few minutes. 15 minutes maybe taking us? 15? I really thought it would take longer to get through all this stuff. But yeah, so this is kind of what's involved in scouting out these particular locations. You know what I can actually do is to give you an idea. I have this, I think I have Cleghorn on here. Town Ranch, Cleghorn Scout. Here we go. Yep. I'm going to save this. Save places as, let me save this to my desktop. Google Earth. So the producers that I work with know that I like to go crazy. Really? Oh, I guess I had to go to Dropbox directly. Or by name. Sorry. Name. Google Earth. Sorry, guys. C, D, E, F, G. Figure out what this is at. Sorry about that, guys. CDF. I'll go to Google Earth and figure out where the hell I put that stuff. File, import, or open. Oh, it's in the Kia folder. All right, let's see if I can open this. All right, there we go. This is the entire Cleghorn. We're moving our way all the way over here to basically on the backside of Big Bear. And this is that entire scout. Let me show up here. So I used GPS coordinates for this particular scout. So the person who was hired to do the scout, I went with. We had to rent off-road vehicles to do the entire thing, but it logistically ended up being pretty crazy. So this gives you an idea of like, all right, so it was on the 138 here, 138, and then it kind of gives you an idea of, all right, if I go to this one, see, I want 2 and 59 south, 2. So this gave me an idea of what I was going to see with this particular shot here. This is what's so wonderful about this. And then I go to spot 2, which is at the base of the hill, coming all the way up. Another flat area. And these all tie in 2 and 59 south 3. So I'll go to my deck. 2 and 59 south 3. South 3. This is it. It's literally the pin. And I'm seeing the exact same thing on Google Earth, which is the best part. So, again, this is another reason to absolutely use Google Earth as a resource for scouting. See, this other image, let's see here. If I go to my deck and look up. There was a mountaintop here that I wanted. Here for this particular crawling stuff. Right here, we got 2N47 West 5. 2N47 West 5. N47 West 5. Takes me all the way to the top here. And this is where we shot this particular shot. I'm going to go right to here. Actually, I'm going to go back to my grid here so we can see all of them. This is literally taken up at that exact same spot. These resources become handy over and over and over again. Such a great place to shoot at. The challenge was we did get there on the Tech Scout. It looked great, right? Looked wonderful. Came back the next day on shoot day. Somebody had come up and tagged the crap out of the location, and there was just graffiti everywhere. Anyways, we're opening up this mega shot that I basically shot as a static to shoot as a virtual rig, and that'll give you a chance to see what how all the light exposures and panels worked for that particular shot. Here's this puppy. I'm going to go back to the final image so you can see what it looks like on the actual website. Go to automotive here, Kia, Telluride, and you have the shot. This is the final. And this was after I had, this is basically, I kind of get everything kind of neutral and then send it out to the person doing the color grading for final looks. For this, I'm going to delete all the hidden layers here. Just kind of walk you through this file. Go here, delete hidden layers. Okay. So start taking this stuff off here. This is just dust around the wheel that I had added. This is dust I put in front of the wheel to make it look more real. Now this car, because I wanted this to be more of like, I was selling these more as beauty shot statics than I was anything else. That way, if the client didn't like the action shot, we could go back and be like, hey, here you go. I wanted something that used the kind of the shadow to kind of frame the vehicle, and then it would have it pop out of the background. That's all of our smoke coming on. This is the vehicle, and then this is the stuff that was behind the vehicle. Here's the dirt that's behind the vehicle. It's all brought in there now. The reason it's brought in is because, again, this vehicle is shot as a static, and then we motionized the background utilizing a program called Virtual Rig for this, which allows me to kind of control all aspects of the image. There's more of the dirt kind of taken off. The shadow under the vehicle. The background extension, right? On the right side, on the left side. Dog is feisty. And there's our background. Let's kind of look at the background image and what we have here. So this is where basically we had started. I'll make this vehicle green so I know that's the main. But this is basically where we started. And then I kind of just bring up the lusciousness because we're dealing with pasty skies, right? And I generally export everything at the same color settings, so that way everything ties together with location. So I'll open up the raws and then process them as TIFFs, usually through Lightroom, and then I'll bring everything in as a layered file into Photoshop through Bridge. So here's our kind of our left extension. Now, just to give you an idea, I'll turn off this mask here so you can kind of see what we're looking at. This is the right side of the image. In order to be able to make the car where I want it to be, I brought in the right side of the image that I had motionized in Virtual Rig and brought that in here. Click on that, and then that ends up being making this kind of look further back, but still have the foreground of the action on the right. Bring that mask back on there. It kind of tightens the shot up. So what I've done here, so you can see the original, this is the background, and then I've taken some of the more interesting elements of the photo. Like I wanted to see some landscapes in the background. I wanted some more tree wrap around the vehicle to kind of give it some depth. So we've dropped in the shadow of the vehicle, the dirt by the wheels, the dirt behind the vehicle. Now, what we did do, because you see the ghosting right here of the vehicles, I shot some action shots of the vehicle to be able to get that dirt in there and be able to make it look, oh, that's not what I wanted to do at all. Be able to make it look somewhat real. So I'll kind of take all that off. There's the action shot of the vehicle. Again, not exactly exciting. So that's why we shot everything in panels, and I'll go over those in just a second here once I get to that vehicle layer. Again, if you're just joining me, I'm back from a 7-day COVID hiatus. It's lovely. We're alive and well. I'm going to turn this mask off here because that was just the dust that we had brought in there to put behind the vehicle. This is just literally a rock underneath the vehicle that was cleaned up. Then we have the vehicle itself, right? So it's like, how did we get from this to, or from, you know, that flat looking image we had before to this particular pretty shot? Lots of layers, that's how. So this is all pieces. So I'm gonna turn these off so you can see what the actual images looked like before, and I'll turn all those on individually as we go through this. A lot of times I'll merge things together once I've started cleaning them up to be able to see everything in one piece. So I'm going to take this mask off here so you can see also what I'm looking at. And click that. So this will give you an idea of how we shot this. So this is the base exposures, right? There's some kind of going through here. Was this on lighten? I'm going to bring some of the natural highlights in there. Same thing with this one. These are all 54%. This one is 100%. So you can see really flat, and then I've just brought in some of the highlights back in. Just give you an idea of how those are being lit. We'll go to, remember that's 54. It's normal. So this we're actually darkening up. This is to actually, so if you look here, we've cleaned up the sheet metal on the vehicle here. Put it on lighten, 54. Right, and we've kind of split the difference of what was there by bringing some of the clean sheet metal back in. Now, this is more clean sheet metal. I'll brush those guys out. Just to give you an idea of what was painted in there. We've got some of the window back here, the bottom, just to clean up this area in here. That's what's going on there. Then we've got more clean sheet metal on the side of the vehicle. We've just brushed that back in. And we've got this entire area completely clean. We brushed in part of that right up here at the top of the door. So you just, now again, the point of all this stuff is to clean up the sheet metal and be able to get every single design area that's been changed on the vehicle. Like you've got the shoulder into the sheet metal of the door, into the bottom of the door, and you want to be able to show all these features. New vehicle, you want to be able to enhance these particular design elements to be able to show them. That's the whole point of shooting a vehicle like this. This is some of the grille detail we brought in here. We've got a nice 4x8 sheet of foam core that's been cut in half that we're reflecting white back into the grille. Here we're cleaning up I believe the underside. Oops. Here we're cleaning up this part, I believe. Oh, what part did I use in there? Oh, I thought this area looked good. That's what I end up using. A lot of times, there's stuff that there's lighting for that I see that works for what I'm doing. So if we look at that, what looks like on and off, it's just kind of opened up those shadow areas. Now this cleans the sheet metal on the front of the... Where did I take this? Oh, this is just the wheel. The wheel stuff I end up motionizing later, but at least it gives it to me. I do tend to love detail here. This is the area over the fenders that I brought in. This is the front area cleaned up now. We're bringing some of that detail in there. Now we've cleaned up this really hot glare area there. Brought some detailing down here. It looks like just some overall detail back into this side of the particular vehicle. Now we've brushed in some of the lighter reflection into the top there. And this, it looks like we've taken, let's see, brought in some of these areas back up. This particular layer. Now we've lightened up the front grille area of the vehicle, this entire front. I believe this is probably just a different exposure because they're 64, 68, they're pretty close. Then I've put some adjustments in there. Actually turn the vehicle mask back on. So these are the motionized wheels that I've then dropped on top. So I've taken these and I've actually flattened them. I'll cut them out and I'll bring them into this. I believe it was done. I might have done these in Photoshop with the radial blur. But I've taken what's there, I've added motion to it and brought it back in and put it on top. This is just some window clean. So this, I've kind of lightened up some of the highlights on the vehicle. Kind of get it to pop in the background. And then this is usually where I've kind of, I'll take everything, I'll merge it together and then start cleaning it up. And that's our vehicle. And then I've taken parts from other shots that I've done, other action shots, and brought them in here to just kind of make this a little bit more real. Got our smoke, and then that's our full shot. Right. Any questions? I feel like I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to bore you guys. I feel like I'm bored. I want to do stuff, but I don't think there's enough time to. 11 o'clock. I'm going to take a potty break and think on it. You guys think about what you want. With that said, I think I'll be right back. All right, I've thought about it. I've given it a real deep think over. You guys seem to like crazy Photoshop stuff. Trying not to say the S word and the F word on here because kids. So I'm going to take the time to put together some crazy stuff, pull some elements, and we'll do another, not random word generator thing, but we'll do another impromptu, hey, let's make this really cool thing, Photoshop session here in a little bit. So give me a few minutes to gather some materials and elements, and hopefully we can have a nice action-packed, fun day of doing just crazy random things, which seems to be what you guys love. All right, thanks for coming in. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, Behance, all those fun social places.